Welcome to another deep dive. This one might get a little, I guess you could say, existentially thought-provoking. We're going to be looking at Surah Az-Zalzalah and specifically some excerpts from Surah Az-Zalzalah, Life Lessons and Reflections.
Okay.
Now, I know talking about the Day of Judgment might not be everybody's, favorite topic.
Right.
But trust me, this isn't just about what happens after we die.
Yeah.
This chapter, which is the 99th in the Quran, actually offers some really, really powerful insights into how we can live better lives like right now. And get this, it manages to pack 20 life lessons into just 8 verses.
That's right. It's remarkable how much wisdom is contained in such a short surah. It really encourages us to think about the impact of our actions, not just in a cosmic sense, but in our everyday lives.
Okay, so 20 life lessons, 8 verses. That's a pretty impressive ratio.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this, starting with a concept that I find, I guess, both fascinating and a little bit unsettling. And that is the idea that the earth itself bears witness to our actions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a powerful image, isn't it? Surah Az-Zalzalah opens with a description of the earth shaking violently and revealing everything that's been hidden within it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that every choice you make, every action you take leaves a mark. It's like that hadith that says, the earth will report what every servant, male and female, has done on its back. So even if you think you've gotten away with something, the earth itself remembers.
That's a little bit unnerving, isn't it? Makes you wonder if the earth itself is keeping tabs, what else is being observed. And that brings us to another, I think, intriguing aspect of the surah, and that is the idea that nothing stays hidden forever. Even things done in secret will eventually be brought to light.
Exactly. Verse 3 describes people questioning what's happening as the earth reveals its secrets.
Right.
And then verse 5 makes it clear that this revelation is by the will of Allah. All actions, good or bad, are ultimately witnessed and recorded.
So it's like in this age of data privacy concerns and hidden algorithms and, all of the stuff that we're dealing with, it's almost like this surah is reminding us that there's a level of accountability that goes way beyond anything we can even imagine in the digital world.
It really highlights the concept of ultimate justice, wouldn't you say? Even for those who manage to escape consequences in this life.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really reassuring thought for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We see so much injustice in the world, so
Right.
many people who just seem to get away with terrible things. So this idea that ultimately there's a higher level of accountability can be, I think, offer some comfort.
It speaks to that innate human desire for fairness and balance. And it leads directly to another key point. The weight of deeds.
Right. Verses 7 and 8 are pretty clear about that. Whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. Really driving home the point that every action, no matter how small, has significance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as an insignificant action. Everything contributes to the overall balance. You know how sometimes you might dismiss a small act of kindness thinking it doesn't really matter?
Right.
Well, there's a hadith that beautifully illustrates this point. Save yourself from hellfire, even by giving half a date in charity. Even the smallest gesture, done with sincerity, can have a ripple effect.
It's a powerful reminder that we should never underestimate the impact of even seemingly small actions. So we've got the earth as a witness, we've got secrets being revealed, we've got even the tiniest deeds having weight. What I'm seeing here is a huge emphasis on justice and accountability.
Right.
And not just in some kind of, abstract, far-off sense, but in a way that feels very immediate and personal.
You're absolutely right. Surah Az-Zalzalah emphasizes that every single person will be held accountable for their actions.
Wow.
No one gets a free pass, regardless of their status or their wealth or anything.
So it's not just about fire and brimstone in the afterlife.
Right. It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences both now and in the future. That's a pretty powerful concept, wouldn't you say?
It is. And it leads us to an even more intriguing question. If we truly internalize this idea of accountability, how does it change the way we live our lives today?
That's where things get really interesting, right? Because it's not just about fearing judgment.
Right.
It's about understanding how this knowledge can guide us towards living more meaningful lives.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that every choice you make, every action you take is being observed and recorded, but not in a Big Brother kind of way. It's more about cultivating an awareness of your own actions and their potential consequences.
So it's almost like having this cosmic accountability partner.
Right.
Right. Gently nudging you towards making choices that align with your values. But wouldn't that get a little overwhelming after a while? I mean, the idea of being constantly observed even when you're alone with your thoughts.
I can see how that might feel a little intense.
Yeah.
But remember what we discussed earlier. This isn't about living in a state of paranoia or fear. It's about developing that inner compass, that awareness of Allah's presence, which can actually be incredibly liberating.
Okay, liberating, how so?
Well, think about it this way. When you're constantly checking in with your values, with your sense of right and wrong, you're less likely to make decisions that you'll regret later. You're more likely to choose the path of integrity, even when no one's watching.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that could be empowering. It's like instead of being driven by external pressures or expectations, you're guided by a deeper sense of purpose.
Right.
But we all make mistakes, right? I mean, we're human, we're
Yeah.
flawed.
Absolutely. No one is perfect. But Islam teaches us that Allah is incredibly merciful and forgiving.
Right.
The door to repentance is always open.
So it's not about beating yourself up for every misstep.
Right.
It's about acknowledging your shortcomings.
Right.
Seeking forgiveness and striving to do better next time.
Exactly. And that's where the concept of intentionality comes into play. If you know that your actions have lasting consequences, it encourages you to be more thoughtful about how you interact with others, how you use your time and resources.
It's about aligning your actions with your beliefs.
Yeah.
Knowing that ultimately you're accountable for those choices.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just individual actions. It extends to how we treat each other, how we contribute to our communities, how we care for the planet.
Right.
Remember that hadith we talked about earlier is the one about giving even half a date in charity. That's a powerful reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a ripple effect.
So even though the Sutta is dealing with these like huge cosmic concepts like the Day of Judgment, it's also offering really practical guidance for how we live our lives right now.
Exactly. It's not just about the afterlife.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything and the profound impact of our choices, both big and small.
This reminds me of something else that our source material kind of highlighted, and that is the importance of time as a valuable asset. It's like if you really internalize the message of this surah, you suddenly become acutely aware of how precious time is.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
Surah Az-Zalzalah emphasizes that life is fleeting and that we'll be held accountable for how we spend our time. Think about your own life. Are you spending your time in ways that align with your values? Are you using your time to make a positive impact on the world around you? These are questions we should all be asking ourselves.
It's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind and to let distractions and obligations kind of pull us away from what truly matters.
Yeah.
The surah is like a wake-up call, reminding us to be more intentional with our time, to focus on what truly brings us meaning and fulfillment.
It's about recognizing that every moment is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to connect, to make a difference.
This is making me think about all the things I've been putting off. You know, those creative projects, those acts of service, those meaningful conversations I've been meaning to have. It's like this surah is giving me a gentle nudge to stop procrastinating and start living with more purpose.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's not about fear or judgment.
Right.
It's about empowering you to make choices that lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life, both for yourself and for those around you.
And that brings us to another important aspect that I don't think we've really touched on yet.
Okay.
And that is the idea of passing these lessons on to future generations.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough for us to just kind of like internalize this wisdom.
Right.
We have a responsibility to share it.
Yeah.
To create a ripple effect that extends beyond our own lives. It's like we've been handed this incredible treasure map, this guide to living a more meaningful life. But now comes the real challenge, actually following that map, putting those lessons into practice. We've talked about the earth as a witness, secrets coming to light, the weight of even the smallest deeds. But how do we take all of this and make it real in our own lives?
That's the question, isn't it? How do we bridge the gap between intellectual understanding and practical application? It's a journey that's unique to each individual. But I think a helpful starting point might be to ask yourself this. If you could only choose one action to focus on improving today, based on everything we've discussed, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Just one action. It's making me think about all the areas where I could be doing better, being more patient with my family, more present when I'm with friends, maybe finally taking the time to volunteer at that local shelter I've been thinking about.
And that's the key, isn't it? Recognizing that even small changes can make a difference. It's not about achieving some unattainable level of perfection overnight. It's about those small, consistent steps taken day after day. It's about progress, not perfection.
So instead of getting overwhelmed by the enormity of it all, I can just focus on being a little bit kinder today than I was yesterday. Or maybe putting a little more intention into my words and actions, knowing that they have this ripple effect that extends far beyond myself.
Exactly. It's about finding those areas where you can align your actions with your values, those small shifts in perspective that can lead to big changes over time. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you fall short, when you make mistakes, but that's okay. What matters is that you keep striving, keep learning, keep growing.
And knowing that forgiveness is always available, that's incredibly reassuring.
It is. Because ultimately, this isn't about fear or judgment. It's about hope. It's about recognizing the incredible potential we all have to make a positive impact on the world, one choice at a time.
Wow, this deep dive has been an incredible journey. It's really shifted my perspective on things. Thank you for guiding us through this profound and thought-provoking material.
The pleasure was all mine. And remember, this conversation doesn't end here. Take these lessons with you, reflect on them, discuss them with your loved ones, and most importantly, put them into practice in your own unique way.
Who knows? Maybe by living with more intention, by striving to be the best versions of ourselves, we can not only create a better world for ourselves, but also leave behind a legacy that will continue to inspire others long after we're gone.
A legacy that will echo through the very earth itself.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep seeking knowledge.